to Winedown Wednesday with Kecia. I hope you guys had a lovely day at work today. Today's wine is Cupcake Red Velvet. It's about $9, $10, and you can find it at Rouse's, guys, and of course my favorite store, Total Wine. Y'all know I'm forever shopping in Total Wine, guys. So this wine, and y'all know I love the wines with the blackberries and chocolates in it. And this wine consists of blackberries and chocolates, and the food pairings with this would be beef, lamb, and hard cheese. And of course, you guys know I love a good lamb. So the topic today is breaking the silence, empowering violence for domestic violence protection. So you guys I'm always on Facebook, Google, looking up different topics. But before I go into the different, y'all know I go in and out of conscious sometimes because it is Winedown Wednesday, y'all. So I start going off on my own path at times. But before we get into what I found on Google, because I'm always on Google looking up different information about different topics, I want to introduce my lovely guest today.
Hi, I'm Joanne West Bartholomew, the owner of JWB Is Me LLC.
Good afternoon, I'm Wayne Barnes, CEO of First Step Counseling Consultant. Good to see y'all.
Kevin's King.
And y'all know Kevin is a repetitive offender on this show.
Not today.
He's always, but today, I promise y'all, he's gonna be good, because this is like a very serious topic, so he said he was gonna be good today, y'all.
Yes.
Okay, so I had my readers on today, so I wanted to read a little bit about domestic violence, and I want my guests to tell me what exactly does domestic violence look like before I get into the statistics.
So domestic violence is everything that don't include physical violence. Simple as that. It's everything, it's all the things in a circle that don't include physical violence.
That don't include it?
Don't include physical violence, you can put it at the end of the list. But it's all the other things that go unnoticed.
There are various forms of it.
So what are the various forms?
Like you said, everything that's included and physical is that a lot of people don't realize that a lot of times people look at domestic violence as physical, somebody actually be getting hit or, being manhandled in that situation. But there are various forms. There's financial, there's emotional, there's psychological,
It's spiritual.
yeah.
It starts with name calling.
Yes.
It ends with a murder.
Sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna break it down for you. So it starts with a name call, right? Then it's a push, a slap, a punch, a kick, a choke, a murder. They go in that order. Nobody ever explained to me that he used to kick me, now he just slapped me. It always is the progression, never the regression of the violence.
Like I said before though, as a man, I wouldn't stay. Why stay? I still don't,
But I think for the most part, for me, I think verbal abuse is the worst. And 9 times out of 10, that's how it starts, with the verbal abuse. The red flags are always there. And, I could name so many different, and talk about so many different stories of people that I've encountered as far as domestic violence. And most of the time, they don't even realize they're in a domestical, toxic, and we're not going to say toxic, we're going to use the word dysfunctional relationship.
Or unhealthy.
Unhealthy. And that's the magic word, unhealthy relationship. So, have you guys ever, any one of you ever experienced, domestic violence in any of your relationships?
Bro, I was hit by a woman. It was more like, I don't know, she just felt that she was a woman, she could hit a man. She would just punch me. Like, we get into it, she just punch me. So I wouldn't hit her back, so I'm not gonna hit a woman, but it was like, she was just used to that physical. Like, she just felt that I'm a woman, I can hit you. You're not gonna hit me back because I am a woman. And that was her way of fussing, was to hit on me. So I have dealt with it. I just brushed it off because I'm a man, like, because she not hurting me, but it still was not right to be getting punched just because we're having a conversation that's getting heated.
So I'll say in my personal relationships, I haven't been physically involved with, abuse, either on my part or my partner's part, but I witnessed it as a kid. And that's kind of like a precursor for everybody who gets involved. They witness the acts of violence as children, and it kind of sets the tone that when I get to be an adult, this is the way adult relationships work. And so that's the precursor usually. That's the number one, what I want to say, it's a warning sign. So, and I've done programming in the past with schools, children as early as 10 years old, 5th grade, they have ideas in their mind about like for example, a young lady said, when I get my husband and we have a fight, we gonna roll. She says that as if it's an expectation, and where'd she get that from?
Oh.
She witnessed it from her home and her neighborhood and so on and so forth. So
Yeah, that's how she's taught to communicate, because in my household, and I'm just laying it on the table because I don't tell a lot of people this. My daddy was very abusive. That was his way of communicating. He was upset. So whenever he was upset, whoever was there, they was gonna get it. And from then on, that made me very defensive, very guarded my whole life against, when I saw, I can't even work with domestic violence because I used to be biased at one point because all I saw was a man beating on women. But it never dawned on me when we're fighting our boyfriends and you running behind him with sticks. That's domestic violence.
Yes.
That is very unhealthy.
And y'all don't see that.
And women can be very much the abuser in most situations. And not even realizing that they are the abuser, but that is the way that most of us have been taught how to communicate. Corporal punishment. Our parents may think it's a form of, they're instilling in us some type of discipline, but actually you're teaching us a way of communicating, because 9 times out of 10 when your parent hits you or beats you for something, they're angry. Yes, and that's the worst thing you can do is beat your child when you're angry.
Yeah.
So, and you're teaching that child a defensive mechanism, how to always be in to be guarded, to be numbness, and not see that they're actually teaching them how to be a volatile person.
Right. So, as a domestic violence advocate, not meaning I'm advocating domestic violence. That's what that sounds like, right?
Yes.
When they told me I was a domestic violence expert, I gotta introduce me as a domestic violence prevention expert, right?
Okay.
But when I was a clinician, I had my first male client. I had some apprehensions about what I was going to tell him because I couldn't imagine a guy being in that position. But within 2 minutes of the initial meeting, I realized that the issues were the exact same. It's just the genders had changed. So at the root of the whole thing was power and control. That's at the center of all domestic violence, power and control. One person trying to exert power and control over the other, which actually, the irony in it is, that person lacks power and control, but to gain power and control over somebody else is their sense of power and control.
Yes. So you were in a situation where your partner was trying to gain control.
I was, and I didn't realize that I was at the time because it was very subtle. So my experience was emotional, mental, and later in another relationship, it was all of those do something in a like playful manner, but then realizing that, you know, it really is not a playful manner because as, you know, he just said it progresses over time, it progresses. And, not really realizing it, I did, seeing it as a child, you know, not in my household, but in other households. And then, I remember I was in high school, and I was looking out of the window, and I was our underclassmen, and these were seniors, and the boy hit the girl at the bus stop, and I couldn't believe it. You know, their relationship in school looked like it was, you know, top notch. It was a really nice relationship, but he was very abusive with her, and he was beating her. And I know that, you know, friends had to have known, so it's always been near and dear to my heart. And then seeing other family members that was in a situation, and it's like a taboo subject. You know, nobody really talks about it, so I commend you for that, you know, especially talking about it in October, because most times all you hear about is breast cancer, breast cancer, breast cancer. And you never hear about domestic violence and how it truly impacts everyone. You know, I work in social services as well, and a lot of the female participants that I encounter, they, in some shape or form, get into it in domestic violence relationships, and a lot of times it's dealing with the children when the children are involved. And then when the children are involved, then a lot of times the father of the child, they can't handle the mother of the child getting into another relationship, and it goes on from there, and then it's just a lot of stuff that transpires with it.
So let me just say this. So we have, when women encounter men, and so let me just, my disclaimer. Predominantly it's women who are being violated by men, statistically. All right, so it comes across as men are the abusers. And we know it's two sides of the coin, right? There's abusive relationships that go both ways. However, if you want to curb the idea that domestic violence might happen, let's say the first time a man calls a woman out her name, and she doesn't confront him, she doesn't question him. She says, "Boy, that's not my name." Or even if she don't say that, she just accepts what he says. That's his lead into the next thing. Oh, I can call her whatever I want now, and then it leads to the physical. So, you know, sometimes, you know, we have to teach our young girls that the warning signs. A great warning sign is when you get involved with in a new relationship. Find out why he's not with his last girl.
Yeah.
And that might give you some clue as to, you know, what's really what you working with. You know what I mean?
Well, sometimes some dudes will do one woman, won't do with the other woman, because that woman ain't go.
Well, he figures it out though. He figures it out because if it's in his nature, he figures it out really quick. He's like, you know, a strong-willed woman, or an alpha woman, as y'all call it.
Alpha female.
Alpha female.
Ain't no alpha woman. Alpha female.
We're talking about alpha females not gonna be tolerant of that, and pretty much that's not gonna be tolerated. So, you know, guys, we talked about it before, but guys will do what they can get away with.
Right.
Yeah, but I think when you say alpha females, basically when you find an alpha female, that alpha female has been raised by an alpha narcissistic male, because you're always on the defense as a child living in a household with an abuser, because then you take on the role as the protector. Like and me being the oldest of, I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers. It was me and my sister by my mom. I'm 3 years older than her. So me living there, my dad knowing that anytime he can pop off, that made me become very alpha at a very early age, because in my mind, the only thing I took on the role of being an alpha, like, I'm not gonna let this be like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I learned to get very tough skin very early on in my life. So he would always tend to target my sister because she was very passive, very submissive. She was very meek. Whatever you tell her to do, she was gonna do just to stay out of trouble. Like, please don't mess with me. Me, I'm on the other hand, I'm like, I wish a nigga would. I want you to try me. So, and especially because I watched him beat my mom. Then he got into another relationship. He beat their mother. So basically, every woman, if you a child, you a girl child, and you constantly seeing your dad beat on every woman that he's ever. In my mind, I'm saying to myself, they're weak. What's wrong with them? Like, they're weak. So that was the way that I learned how to view things, how to communicate. So instead, and yes, I've learned to become more into my softer role as I've gotten older, because I practice a lot of self-awareness and a lot of therapy and talking about these things and, working on myself, because you see those things now. I can, like as I said, I can work with that population, because I know that there's two sides to every story. And just like a man can be aggressive and be an abuser, a woman can be just as abusive as a man, because basically if she's coming from that type of household, and that's her only way of learning how to communicate, by tussling, and you automatically take on that, what is it? You take fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
So you either gonna fight, you gonna stand up and you gonna be strong, or you gonna take off. You gonna submit to the situation.
All right. So you just said a really good word when you said submit. And I've talked about this subject countless times, but here's one of the things. So even people, I'm gonna use the scripture. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. It says, wives, submit to your husbands. So that's what it says in a nutshell, right? But Ephesians 5:23 also says, husbands, be subject unto your wife. So we missed that part. See, the men heard the most important they needed to hear.
Yeah.
Wives, submit to your husband, and they started reading the book, right? So, and even people who are even people who are unchurched will quote the Bible and say the Bible says, why? And if you really want to go to the etymology of the word, it's really about in the Hebrew, it spoke on a voluntary submission. See, we live in a Western world, and we hear submission, we think dominance. But if you break down the word in the Hebrew from which they quote, is actually that's the essence of the word. Okay. But you have churches that promote that, and some of the preachers are unlearned. They preach it, but they preach on stuff that they don't do, and they send in the wrong messages. So a lot of people get the messages from the most innocent place in the world, church. And then you got pastors that's preaching every Sunday, woman, sit under your husband and all of that. And that might be a controversial subject, but nonetheless, that's where some of the messaging comes from. Right. Not only did they get it from their households, but now they get it from the preacher, and they get it from Tyler Perry.
Oh my God!
I'm just saying, it's all over the place.
I'm so tired of black men Lord, we the worst men in Tyler Perry movies, Lord. It's just, but no, yeah. I ain't putting my title to this.
Yeah, so I mean, but all the influences that we have as a society kind of promotes that, right?
Right.
So we also live in a patriarchal and sexist society, which promotes men are here and women are here. And as soon as we start equalizing the playing, we always gonna have that kind of offset and balance. So, we talking about the scourges and what goes on, but it's really, this conversation is eventually gonna turn to the solutions. I got a load of solutions, how we can end violence against women, not necessarily just talk about what's happening, but I'm talking about active steps we can do as men to be able to combat that. And I'll get into that,
Yeah, for me, I think, and this is another subject, and Mary and I, she's always on the podcast, and we always talk about the broken man. And there are so many men, especially men in the 40s and 50s, and probably early on, but because I'm in that age bracket, I notice a lot of men are very broken. They bring a lot of shit. They carry a lot of shit with them. And until these men can recognize who they are and where they are, at an early age, and I think we need to have more conversations about this, because I'm not gonna say that our community is infested, like this is something that's very prevalent in the African American community, because our men are, I'm not saying you guys are like that, but for me, I feel the stresses of a black man, not just the stresses of a black woman. Our households, sometimes we get inflicted by other substances, influences, and people, and the stresses. So sometimes that's their only defense mechanism, and the only way they know how to react is to lash out. And we see it every day with our youth. They're frustrated, they idle as hell. When the minute you can't tell them nothing, they're uneducated. They don't want to learn anything. But yet, when life starts lifing in real life for them, they don't know how to handle that. They can't communicate their needs effectively because they've never been taught that. Hell, they ain't never been taught how to write in cursive. So they can't even sign, if they go to buy a home, half of them can't even write their signature on the document to even sign and seal the deal. So we have a lot of frustrations that's building up in our generation. So I feel like it's more prevalent now as it was then. It's more acceptable now, and that's why we don't talk about it as much.
Right. So what I'm hearing is it's not really a black and white issue. It's a universal, international issue.
Yeah.
Because if you look around the world, it's prevalent around the world. So we keep it in local, we keep it in countryside. But if you go outside the country's borders, it's really prevalent, right?
Yeah, actually it works. Some women really don't have no rights at all.
Yeah,
So
right.
But
keeping it local and countryside, it's like this. So a lot of men are built around insecurities. Some men can't handle that their wife or their partner make more money than them, and they feel insecure by that, right? It's a lot of things that plays a part into the male psyche that he has, because we have a set of ideals for men. It's in a box, and in this box it tells all ideals that it takes to be a man: strength, power, aggression, dominance, macho, all of those things that we have built into us. But the things that's not in the box is sensitivity, weakness. You know what I'm saying? I'm vulnerable. That's not even words that we use that we typically are aware of, because those things are foreign to us, right?
It's going to be hard not to cry.
Right. Men don't cry. That's what we taught. Men and boys don't cry, and that's women's stuff. You crying, that's for women. But actually, the truth is, we have tear ducts and emotions. They work together.
Right.
And so my position is, when you cry, every woman that I've ever interviewed, the majority of them say they feel better after they cry. So, man, if you're listening,
you gotta cry.
Let one out, even if it's in your pillow. But that's one way to get a relief, right? And say that's not manly. And I know if there's a man listening out here tonight, they probably say, "Yeah, Red, he weak." They probably hear me. I know. I heard all them stories before, so you can't put me off by that. I know what I'm talking about when I say insecurities is the name of the game, right? So, real quick, I remember a client that I had, a female client. She told me that her husband went to jail 20 years ago for abusing her. She said, and she was at my agency, and she was seeking help. She said, but he beat me 20 years ago, and he haven't hit me since. So I couldn't figure out why she was there, right? She said, but he never did hit her again, but he started doing a little insidious stuff, like she got a job, and Monday morning she was gonna start. Well, what does he do? He hid her keys so she couldn't make it to work. She was gonna be late or whatever, right? And then he sat back on the sofa and told her how stupid she was for misplacing the keys, and he's the one who hid the keys. You know what I'm saying? So that's what, and she'll cook a plate of food, and he'll talk about how salty it is, but he'll still eat it all. But he got to throw that complaint in there.
Oh, so he just constantly
badgering.
Physical abuse to emotional, psychological abuse.
Right. So what that's really all about. The bully picking on a person that he feel like he can beat. The bully not picking on somebody stronger than him. Right. So that's that's the nature of the thing, right? So we start to get detail in how and why men abuse or how and why women abuse. It all comes from the same place. It's really about insecurities.
Yeah, I can speak to that. And again, it goes back to, you know, being self-aware and building up your securities and having learning how to have healthy conversations, learning how to communicate. And one thing I learned, and I'm not gonna say all men, but men don't know how to communicate verbally at all for me. Y'all don't communicate verbally effectively at all for me. So
I communicate very well.
And I think I know what that might be. So women are, let's say this, are verbally more sophisticated than men. And we can't handle that. So here it is. If we're in a relationship and you tell me something verbally that I can't handle, I can't think of a response because you just told with me, and I can't take it. My next response is, put them up. I say all that stuff, but I bet you one thing, you can't kick her behind. And so men act as if kick her behind is the common denominator of life.
Right.
If you tell me something I can't handle, I want to fight.
well, what if she whipped his behind? Then what?
But that's what it is, right? But at the same time, that's where it comes from. You know, we kind of like have the notion that if we can't, if all else fails, put them up.
That's
So-
real.
Yeah.
And a lot of men abuse, they just don't talk about it. They don't go
True
through
enough.
their feel
Yes.
like they, you know, well, why would I say that? But there are men that's being abused as well.
Yeah, because they'll be viewed as weak, and so they'll be reluctant to enter counseling. They'll be reluctant to tell somebody, and because of the stigma of what it looks like, what it sounds like, men are not going to come forward. But even speaking on that, women will endure abuse 7 times before they reach out the first time. So they'll sit back and be abused at least 7 times before they call the police the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the statistics is high with that, right? It's not like, because I hear a lot of women say, first time you hit me, I'm out the door. That's not, the stats don't support that. The stats support that she endures it over time for a number of reasons. She wants to help him get better. She love him. She see what happens is when she bet him, he was a good guy. He did all the right things.
That representative.
He put out chairs, he bought roses, he did all of that. So she remembers what he used to be like. So she holds to her heart, I know it's in him, I know he can do it, so I'm gonna stick with him. And that becomes a deficit for her because now she's enduring all of those things that he does in an effort that she knows he has it in him and she's willing to endure that, right? So
Been there, done that.
So that was the situation you was in?
she attested to it.
That representative, yeah, he's good. He put that foot forward and make you fall in love with him. Yeah, the representative is.
Yeah, the representative is good, but for me, the red signs are always there. Those flags are there, even between, if you paying close attention to somebody besides him pulling out the chair, because these are things that, a woman wants. Some women did do it on a man being a gentleman.
Because a lot of men don't do that no more. A lot of men are not gentlemen no more, especially if he's young.
I don't care nothing about none of that. I want to know if you talk to your mama every day. I want to know how you treat your mama when we in a conversation. I want to know I want to know everything about your life. Was your dad in your life? If you said no, what happened? Why your parents got a divorce? If you or your daddy left your house, if you tell me your daddy used to beat your mama, I know you crazy.
No,
Not
that's not
necessarily.
fair because he might have put a separate way.
Behaviors are learned.
They
So,
don't learn what they-
so in my situation, right, I witnessed domestic violence. I was front of person as a kid, right? And I vowed that I would never live like that. So it worked in the reverse for me. I didn't feel like it was a thing. It was the thing to do. To me, it was like the thing not to do. So I kind of like learned from that, right? It even sounds like you.
So it is a learned behavior.
It is definitely a learned behavior. You're gonna learn something, and you're gonna learn to do
or
it.
learn not to do it. In this case,
So-
Learn not to do it.
So I got a question for the panel, right? So, and I want this requires total honesty. Have you ever said that a woman that you knew was in a domestic violence relationship was either stupid, crazy, or she liked it? Just raise your hand if you ever said that.
I never said
Okay, well, so you guys are in the minority. Because the majority of people who know somebody, especially a woman who stays.
Yes, like I
If,
said,
if a woman, if they know that the woman is enduring violence and she stays, the common opinion is she's stupid.
Well,
She's crazy.
that's true. And
Or she must like it. So you didn't say it, but you're agreeing with me, right?
I never said it, but I've had people because of certain situations that I've been in. Like I've had people tell me, "Oh, you stupid. Why you take this?
Mm-hmm.
Why you doing this?" Or, "Oh, that was my fiance." So just because that's your fiance, and this is just somebody that abuse is abuse. Your form of abuse ain't no better than mine just because if you married or that's your fiance. Abuse is abuse. Just because I'm a human, I'm a woman, and this is what I was trying to tell that person. I'm a woman just like you. Go through situations just like you. So how am I stupid and you went through the same things that I went through? What makes you better than me?
Right. So let me just say this. So if you're a person that has ever said that, this is what you're really saying. That you're not the person to help her. If you feel like she's stupid or crazy, she like it, you're not trying to help her. That's
you.
number one.
Thank you, Wayne.
You are not trying to help her, right? So, when I've seen situations where a woman, she went to her sister's house and with her children, and her children was living with her sister on top of their children, and it's like two families in one, and she goes back to the abuser, and the sister announces she can't come back here. And then she tells the rest of the family, this crazy heifer, she didn't went back to him, and now the whole family didn't turn against her. When she need the family the most in her life, we are undermining her very thing by we in cahoots against her, and she the one need the most help.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. We gotta change the way we view this thing as an effort to go ahead.
I understand, but I do feel. I understand what you're saying is true. At that time, she didn't, but still, I would feel like I took you in trying to help you while you're going back. I would feel that way. Like I took you in, I'm here for you.
I can answer that.
Why
Did
go
she
back?
tell her to go back? Was that the
No.
thing she told her to go back?
She didn't tell her to go back. She went back on her own.
It was so number one. It was kind of uncomfortable in the first place, right? You got my 1, 2, 3 children
all right.
living with my sister and her 2 or 3 children. That's kind of uncomfortable. So it's kind of like I want to be back in my surroundings, right? So that's kind of like some of the things. But the number one reason why a woman would stay in a relationship, it don't have nothing to do with stupid, crazy, and liking it.
What's up, Bible?
Fear.
Yes.
She's afraid that because this abuser has made good on many of his threats, that if you leave me, I'm going to do this, that, or the third, and he's made good on a lot of those threats, right? So when he says these things, she believes him. So if he says, I got so many stories about some of the sick stuff that dudes do with the women. Is like the woman used to go to work. He would call at work on the job and kick the dog, and the dog would be yelping in the background. Just something to do to get on the nerves at work. That's weak. That's but there's stuff. I don't like to tell these stories because I try and guard so I don't give men ideas. Oh, I can do that. But it's wild. So if you just take into account the reason why a woman stays or goes back is because of fear, not stupid and crazy, right? So we got to look at this from a bigger perspective, and we got to be able to help these people. Equip yourself with the local domestic violence hotline. Have her call the hotline. You can give her the number. She don't have to call. She's gonna call eventually. Guess what she's gonna call? When she gets sick and tired of being sick and tired. Not until then. Not until then, right?
And like I said, the red flags are always there. I dated this guy one time, and this how it started. If I wanted to go out, or what have you, when I got home, he would be sitting in my driveway waiting on me to get home, and I was like, oh no, he must really like me. He's sitting in my driveway waiting on me to get home. Never thought anything about it. Red flag. When I was inside talking, he had a friend. Now he didn't know how to fix my zinc. And I'm from New Orleans, so y'all said zinc. My zinc.
What's a zinc? Yeah, we know.
So he said his friend came over, offered. Now you know I'm not dealing with your friends. He riding around the block over and over again, going around the block. I'm like, oh, he really mad. He must really love me. He riding around the block. Oh Lord, he really into me. So those are red flags at the beginning of an abusive relationship. That's when you know that someone is insecure.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of signs that people don't pay attention to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number one, that we're not taught that. So that's why my role as a community educator was so powerful, because I started teaching this to kids as early as 5th grade, because I know the seeds already planted, right? So we talk about even our language toward women. This is interesting. Men call women B's, W's, and H's. It just depends on how you spell it, whether it's a W or H. But when it comes to ours, our mother, sister, daughter, aunt, cousin, you can't call them that because they not that. See, it's a double standard. So we could just be like, yeah, this B over here, and I met this B. I had partners that say, man, I met this B at the club last night, and all that B was fine. And she had like, yeah, and I would ask him all the time, what's her name? What are you talking about? And he was like, you know what, bro? I don't even know. She had a yellow dress. You know what I'm saying? So, I had these conversations with my closest friends, right? And so one of the ways for accountability is that if you John, if you know a guy that's abusing his wife or his girlfriend, if it's your partner, your brother, I don't care who it is. Now, it's a fine line between interfering with strangers. But if it's somebody who you roll right next to, and you are sitting idly by watching him behave like that, you giving him the pass. So guess what? Now you're responsible for that. So if collectively, if all men put up a front that we don't tolerate that, it'll be a different story. Right? So I have friends when I say, they hear my conversations about our language toward women. So one day I'm walking up on a group of my friends, and I hear one of them say, hey, bro, watch what you say when he come around, because he going to say something. And I heard that, and I said, hey, bro, like, I wasn't telling you that for you to straighten your language up around me. I told you that for you to straighten up, period. Right? Incorporate that into your life, you know what I'm saying? So it's about accountability. We have pedophiles. A pedophile can't join us right now. We're not going to make a space for him. But the known abuser, he cool because he get the best. He tell the best jokes. He got the best barbecue.
Yes.
He is a great entertainer. That's your boy. But he beat his woman and you give him the pass because he's too cool for that. So therefore, accountability is on us. It is, we are equally responsible.
Yeah, and we ignore that because as men, y'all know the signs. You can't say that you don't know when someone's ego has totally taken over and they feel like they need to gain power to beat somebody or to make that person submissive. So I guess I should ask, do you guys know? Do you guys see the signs?
There are guys who I know that I know somebody, but I don't know their business because they keep it a secret. So look, here's one of the things that men do. They beat their wife or girlfriend, but they never hit her in the face. They never hit her where it's visible. They always strike her where she always got clothes on. So that way she can go to work and nobody never knows that she's been abused because he's been hitting her down low. So he's not gonna hit her in the face because then it's gonna be obvious that he did it. But so these guys calculate. So it's kind of like it's not like there's not like a sign on the head say I beat, because if that was the case you would see that when you meet him, right? So we don't know. They try to hide it from us, and so but if you do become aware, it then becomes your responsibility. If you have a friend and you confront him on it, and he gets mad because you confront him, well, I'm gonna have to forfeit that relationship. I've been in that space before as well, where I witnessed one of my partners abusing his girlfriend, and I asked him, I said, well, what happened? He said, man, you don't know the things this girl does. I said, I don't know what she does, but I know what I just saw you do. He got salty with me, and I ain't talked to him for years. And he realized, and he knew why I didn't talk to her. He knew exactly why I didn't talk to her. Because you behave like that, you can't be my partner. Right. And so, I would say it's not obvious, but if you do find out, you got a duty to warn.
Right.
You got to.
Now, what's more obvious stuff is the more mental stuff. It's not how your friend talked to somebody, how you talk to his wife, how you talk to his now. That's more obvious. Like, oh, I make all the money when she ain't under the body. We can see that more. And that's more kind of, well, he do make all the money, so we kind of give it a pass, but that it's really still abuse. If he controlling her any kind of way, but we kind of give that a pass because he is making the money, he not beating on her, she got what she wants, she get what she want to have, so we can see that more than we see, because he gonna hide the beatings.
And that falls into manipulation and, you know, being deceitful and, you know, deceptive and stuff like that.
Right, because he can hide the beatings, but you can't hide how you talk to somebody. You can hide and beat up, you know, like you said, get up to where you didn't see it, but how somebody talk to you is how somebody gonna talk to you, you know.
And I just feel like how a man treats a woman after. Say like if you break up with a woman, or you and a woman don't see eye to eye. If that brother out there and he talking about this woman bad after he's been with her, then it's a 50-50 chance that he was an asshole when he was with her. Because a real man is not going to, if you respect a woman, you just not going to go out there and just try to ruin this woman's name, talking about her to different people, just slandering her name like the reason why y'all broke up is because, oh, she did this, she did that. But none of his friends never stop him and say, well, what did you do? Because, I mean, you telling me all this bad stuff that this woman did to you, what did you do? So for me, that's a red flag for me from a brother. When a brother talks about a woman really bad and make her the demon of his life, something if that's a red flag right there. Like he trying to make her out the victim.
Right.
So I don't see his fault.
So society does the same thing. Society says this: she got hit, rather than say he hit her. Mm-hmm. So the focus is on her.
Yeah.
So it's not absent his behavior. Because if we really want to, when we see the shift, we're gonna say, oh, her husband or boyfriend hit her. We put accountability on him. Now she got hit. I wonder what she did. That's the next notion. We all think about, I wonder what she did. You know what I'm saying? So, and one of my questions to find out what men are is, what's a good reason? If you could tell me a good reason to hit a woman, and you fly your mouth something good to say, you got a problem, bro. If you're gonna tell me a good reason to hit a woman, absolutely, there's not a good reason. Right. But if I ask you the question, it's a sneak attack. You don't even see it coming. So, I think you've heard me ask this question before. We don't understand the value of women. Yeah. See, I'm about the solutions. I'm not trying to just hawk on what it is. I'm trying to get past this stuff, right? As soon as we understand the value of women, then we have a different perspective. The question is posed like this: what's the value of a woman if you take away companionship and pleasure? And then men be like, what are you talking about? Like they don't have a clue.
So I want Kecia to answer that question.
Oh. You're the project, dog.
Besides pleasure and wealth?
I need
if you take away if you take away companionship and pleasure, okay, what's the value of a woman?
Nurturing.
See, now that's a good answer.
That's
a good answer. But you know this is what happened. He did exactly how it plays out, right? So men who have thought about that question already have an immediate answer. When he first heard the question, he was stuck. He was like, But he's a smart man. And he gave 3 minutes and he was like, I gotta come up with something on live. So I gotta say something. So he says nurturing. Actually, that was my answer when I thought about it, right? Okay. So the formula works out like this. When I first heard it, it was 100 men. 10 men had to answer immediately. I wasn't one of the 10. I was one of the 30 that had a chance to think about it. But that left the other 60 men in the room who were clueless. And so that leads me to believe there's 60% of the men who don't understand the value of women. And so you have a daughter? Mm-hmm. So you think about this. When you send your daughter out the front door, 60% of the guys out there don't have a clue as to her value. Besides companionship and pleasure, we gotta shift that narrative.
Yes, companionship, that's all we good for.
Okay.
Wish our babies.
What a man is good for besides providing pleasure then?
A man is good we rely on y'all for emotional support and intimacy. Because we need to be nurtured as well. Just like y'all, we are natural nurturers, but women constantly cry out to guys saying, this is what we need from you guys to nurture us. Intimacy. Intimacy is not penetration.
All right, so let me just say this, watch this. I got a lot of stuff. So, if I got a solution for all the men that clueless.
Okay.
A woman is everything that we can't be.
Okay.
She is everything. You two are everything that we can't be. We can't argue with that. Because if you say you could be like her, then we got to talk after this session, right? So as long as we appreciate that women have their own inherent right, they're equally created with us. So whatever your value is, she have equal value, if not more. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to set the tone where women now are superior and men are inferior, but at least be equal in the game, right? So the way it really plays out is that if we start raising women's status in the community or in general, see, we pray for something to come into this world. It's coming through a woman. But if her status is here, and she's producing from down here, but if we lift her status up, when she produce, she's gonna produce something of high value. She's gonna produce the answer to your prayers. So if all men globally, collectively thought like that, we'd stand a better chance. You know, see, the things I'm speaking on is about ending domestic violence, not just talking about the fact that it exists.
Right.
Oh, preach that, and we gonna drink to that one.
Let's drink to that.
Let's drink to that. That was the word right there. So, go ahead.
I wanted to talk about some healthy relationships, like relationships, period. And that way, you know, our audience can know, and we can learn a little bit more about having relationships, what's healthy, unhealthy, and what's abusive. So, healthy relationships, what are some qualities you think go in a healthy relationship?
Understanding each other, communicating, because better communication and just understanding. Sometimes, you know, bad understanding is bad understanding.
Right?
So trust is a major issue.
Trust,
right?
yeah.
Trust is a
Good
major.
one.
Trust is needed for a healthy relationship, right?
Yes, for sure. So, y'all both answered two that were on the healthy list. What do you think?
She don't
Real.
have relationships.
Healthy relationship. What's good in a healthy relationship?
For me, in a healthy relationship, it would have to be effective communication, because communication is everything. It helps us to gain trust. Because
Right.
without effective communication, there is no trust.
So those are all right. So good communication, enjoying each other's company, mutual respect and trust, supportive of each other's goals, partners in decision making, and improvement of self-esteem.
There you go.
So those are all healthy. What do y'all think is unhealthy?
But I
The
just,
opposite of,
the
yeah.
opposite of what I described was stalking.
Yeah.
Humiliation,
Yes.
put downs,
Yes.
the name calling, the list goes on for that.
On and on.
That list is probably so long
So, yeah.
that it's crazy, right?
So, unhealthy will be regular arguments, only spending time with your partner. So that's not having, time to yourself, anything outside of that. Trust issues on one or both sides, avoiding difficult conversations, negative comments about life choices and boundaries are often ignored or crossed.
Right. I got a good one to add to that. Controlling where she goes and who she sees.
Yes.
Because that's major. Because when he controls where she goes, he knows that if he says, I don't like you going by your sister. Because every time you go by your sister, you come back here talking crazy. Because he knows that if she's telling her sister what's going on, sister might be trying to talk some sense to her. He don't want that.
Right.
So he said, your sister messy. You need to stay from over there.
Yeah.
But it's really, it's really a motive behind
Your
it.
mama
Right?
messy. Your brother don't like me.
Right.
All those things.
Sifting through people's cell phones looking for information.
Yeah. Oh, you mean to tell me that's not healthy?
That's not healthy.
That's not healthy.
And that's the form of abuse. too.
That is
We don't
because-
realize that is, abuse.
Yeah,
Not
newsflash.
just
That's
so abusive in a relationship will be gaslighting, controlling who you spend time with. Like you said, that's abusive. False accusations of cheating, which I've been accused of that. Like I've done that, and I didn't realize that was abusive.
Yes, because constantly you cheat, you like, I'm not doing nothing. But you're doing something.
Manipulating, lying, then denying it, insulting or degrading comments, or unpredictable or threatening behavior.
blaming. I only hit you because you did something.
Yeah.
So I made an excuse for why I did the behaviors.
Yeah. Constant excuses for the behavior.
Like women do.
So it's everything. So you want to tell us a little bit about this T-shirt and the purpose of this T-shirt?
That I'm about to buy the last one she has on.
Okay, well, again, my name is Joanne West Bartholomew. I'm the owner and creator of JWB Is Me LLC, and my business was actually birthed out of domestic violence. So my business is to bring awareness and empowerment to domestic violence. You can follow me at JWB Is Me LLC on all platforms, and you can also do bit.ly, bit.ly/visit JWB Is Me LLC. And this shirt is just depicting a woman with purple hair. Purple is the color for domestic violence, and just basically saying stop the violence. Bringing awareness to domestic violence. So, and then on the website on the bit.ly, you'll be able to find information on domestic violence. I have a 30-day self-care challenge because self-care is very important, as well as 10 tips on what to do in a situation when you might be in a domestic violence situation.
And can I purchase this online?
Yes, ma'am, you can purchase it online. Thank you so much. You can purchase it online.
I bought this one.
And
Why you want on?
it's on the link as well. And so it's bit.ly/visit JWBISME LLC. Thank you so much.
When you have anything you want?
I just want to say this to the people that are listening, that if you are a victim of domestic violence, establish a safety plan. So safety plans are super important, right? Because if you waiting to gather clothes, like a couple of days worth of clothes, important papers, let's say you got to take the kids with you and enroll them in another school, go into hiding, it's important to get that safety bag, that runaway bag. Prepare the bag, take the bag and put it someplace where you intend to go. Don't leave with the bag. The bag is already set. If you know you're gonna flee by your cousin, get the bag, make copies of those, an important bag of everything. Put it where it needs to go. So when you gotta flee at the moment's notice, you can just break out at the moment's notice and head to where you gotta go. So having a safety plan. Get the children involved. If you got children involved, if you hear mommy say this, then you go run tell the neighbor, or something like that to prepare for the I won't say the inevitable, but it's only gonna get worse.
But because like that, when the child was trying to get the police for their mama, to help their mama, it was
right.
Yeah.
So the safety plan is really important. So if you're a listener and you're in a domestic violence relationship, establish a safety plan and call your local domestic violence shelter. There's help when you make that call.
Thank you, Wayne, so much for that information. And remember, it also is important in that safety plan that if you have a vehicle, always have your extra set of keys hidden in a safe place. So when it's time to flee, and a good idea is, ladies, is to pack that bag, and maybe you want to keep it in a trunk, because they don't go in our trunk often, because our trunk is always junky, disguise it with some stuff. If you need to flee, you have that extra set of keys ready. Your bags always are, and always have on notice where you're gonna go. Have a plan as to where you're gonna go. If your sister is a safe space, your friend is a safe space, make sure that they know this ahead of time before you just show up on their doorstep, because they are a part of your safety plan. And if your abuser goes there, they know and have a way to hide or dispose of the car or whatever you need to do to stay hidden. So your supporters are a part of your plan as well, so don't forget to include them. And with that being said, guys, it is now 7:55. I apologize because I saw some questions coming up and comments. I don't have a producer, y'all, so if anybody can donate or spare some time and volunteer to be my producer, because Bella, I love you, Bella. Wave at the camera. Bella is my, she's my producer for
Wait,
tonight.
say
You
what?
gonna be the producer next week, Bella. And she's been a very good producer. You want to step in front of the camera and wave to everybody? So, and it's recorded live, so I'll try to address any questions or anything that you have or any comments. I appreciate you guys for supporting me. Again, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, KReed2B, on YouTube. I have 29 followers right now. I need 50 to go live on YouTube, y'all, so help me out with going live on YouTube. I'm gonna have a couple of events coming up. This month is particularly about women. So next week will be about breast cancer. And we'll have some vital information about that. And then at the end of the month, we're gonna try to do something in regards to trying to get everyone hyped up again about voting. So just stay tuned. And then when we get to November, we have some very interesting topics for you guys. So just stay tuned. And you know, it's always a good time on this show. So don't forget to, if you have questions, comments, come on in. You're is welcome. And I'm gonna work on addressing whatever. I gotta get me a good producer. Okay, and with that being said, Bella, you are the best. I love you. I'm not talking about, I need you're gonna be my permanent producer. So Bella has volunteered to be my permanent producer. Y'all heard it here. She's gonna be here every Wednesday. That is a commitment. You coming every Wednesday to support me and be my producer. I appreciate it. And good night, you guys. See you next Wednesday.